Hey everyone, it's Nina. Today I'm going to go through a heart-opening yoga flow. So this class can be for anyone who is looking to open up the upper body, like your shoulders or your chest or the entire front of the body. It can also be for anyone who is really looking to just open up their heart, whether it's figuratively or whether it's emotionally. Just the practice of opening up the heart kind of symbolizes how we can be more open in our everyday lives, whether that's through conversations or relationships, or maybe we're going through a situation where our first reaction is to close off. And when we tend to close off, we tend to kind of come into this closed position. And so this class today is all about just staying as open as possible, sitting up as straight as possible, and just really working on being more mindful about where we may be feeling closed in our body, in our mind, or our emotions. So just keep that in mind as we flow through class today, and just enjoy. If you feel any emotions come up, just go with it, feel into it, lean into it, and just allow yourself to feel as much as possible, because sometimes when we really work on the heart space and we work on opening up the heart, things can feel really uncomfortable. So be kind to yourself and just enjoy the flow today. So today we are just going to need 2 blocks. You actually don't even need them. We're only going to use them at the end of class. So if you have a pillow, you can use that in place as well. So purely optional to have blocks. To get started, we're going to come into a child's pose. So come onto your knees, bring your knees about the width of your mat, and then bring your toes together, shift your hips back onto your heels, and lengthen your hands forward. And just place your forehead on the mat. And just allow yourself to begin to soften in the entire body. And just take a few deep breaths here. Start to get a little bit more centered. And slowly come all the way up into a tabletop position. So we'll go through a couple of cat-cows to start to really open up through the chest and the spine. So inhale, lift your chin up, take a slight arch in your lower back. And on an exhale, round through the upper back. And inhale, lift the chin up. And exhale, reverse, rounding through the upper and the lower back, pulling that belly button up. Inhale, last one. Exhale, reverse. Come back to a neutral spine. We're just going to do some shoulder shrugs to start to open up the shoulder joint here. So just drop the chest down and then push away from the ground, pulling the shoulder blades apart. So shrugging them down, bringing the shoulder blades together, almost like you're trying to get them to touch, and then round. So just do this a few times, up and down, starting to create a little bit more of synovial fluid, creating that in the actual shoulder joint to improve that lubrication. And then from here, instead of just going up and down, we're going to start to shrug forward and back. So it doesn't have to look pretty. We just want to work on creating some motion in that shoulder joint. So going in both directions, circling forward and back. And coming back to a neutral position. Inhale, lift your right arm up towards the sky, twisting your upper body up. And on an exhale, thread that right arm underneath and place your right cheek on the ground. You can extend that left arm forward. And then slowly come back to tabletop, reach that right arm up towards the sky, take that right arm behind you to try to reach for that left hip, and just turn that right shoulder up towards the sky. And then take that right hand down to the ground, other side, lift your left arm up, and exhale, thread underneath the right, extend the right arm forward, and place your left cheek on the ground. Allow yourself to relax here. Slowly start to come back up, reach the left arm up towards the sky, and then reach that left hand for that right hip, and really work on pulling the left ribs up towards the sky. And then release that left hand down to the ground. Tuck your toes under, lift your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. Take a few moments here to pedal the feet out. And bend your knees really deep here. Really push the hips up and back. Try to push the chest all the way back to the tops of your thighs. And then bend the knees even more. Keep pushing back, lowering the hips down. And then from here, almost like a springboard, you're just going to roll the hips forward into a plank position. So from here, lift the hips up and then roll just vertebrae by vertebrae all the way into your plank. And then bend your knees, arch the lower back, lift the chin and the chest up, push the hips back and up into downward facing dog. We'll do 2 more of those spine rolls. So start here with your bent knees, pushing your chest all the way back as close to the tops of your thighs as you can. From here, start to straighten your legs, lift the hips up, roll the spine forward. Very slow and controlled. And on your exhale, bend your knees and slowly roll back to down dog. Just one more time here. Bend your knees, push the chest back, and then lift the hips up, roll forward, almost like you're going through each vertebrae to come into your plank. Bend your knees and roll back. Go ahead and pedal your feet out a little bit more here. We're just going to roll forward here into our plank. And then start to bring the hips towards the wrist, coming into an upward facing dog. And then drop your knees down to the ground, bring your feet together, push your hips back into child's pose. From child's pose, you're going to bend your arms, pull yourself forward into an upward facing dog, bending your legs, still in this part child's pose. With your feet, almost like you're trying to reach your feet to the back of your head, lift your chin and chest up, lean back. And exhale, come back into child's pose. And inhale, go back. Bringing the hips towards the wrists, lifting the feet up, and reaching the head up and back. Exhale, come back to child's pose. We'll just go one more. On your next inhale, come forward into this modified upward facing dog. And exhale back into your child's pose. From here, lift your hips up. Bring your knees about hip distance apart. And so you're going to keep your hips in line with your knees here. Start to walk your hands forward. Coming into puppy pose, we'll just spend a few deep breaths here, dropping your chest or your nose or your forehead to the ground. If you want something a little deeper, you can come up onto your fingertips. Take your variation here and allow yourself to surrender in this pose. Really opening up through the chest and the shoulders. And slowly start to walk your hands back, coming into tabletop. Tuck your toes under, lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Walk your hands back to your feet. And inhale, lift your arms all the way up towards the sky. And exhale, bring your arms by your sides almost into like this goalpost position. So bringing the elbows down and lifting the chin and the chest up. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, walk your hands forward into your plank. And lower down, Chaturanga, all the way down to the ground. Extend your arms forward and bring your feet together. And inhale, lift your arms and your feet up off the ground into locust pose. Continue to lift up A little bit higher. And lower down to the ground. Bring your arms by your sides, palms facing up. Squeeze your feet together. Squeeze your glutes. Lift your feet up off the mat. Lift the chest up. Bring the shoulder blades together. Continue to breathe. Just keeping your gaze neutral here. Don't lift that head up. Just keep that neutral neck. No need to force anything here. And lift up a little bit higher. And exhale, bring your hands next to your chest. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Look to the top of your mat. Walk your feet all the way up to the top. Inhale, lift your arms all the way up towards the sky. And exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, lift your arms up. Take a back bend here. Reach the chest up and back, pushing the hips forward just a little bit. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down, step back into your plank. Lower down, Chaturanga, actually all the way down to the ground. You're going to take your knees about hip distance apart. Bend your knees. Bring your hands to reach either the top part of your feet or your ankles. We're going to come up into bow pose. So start to push your ankles or your feet into your hands, lifting the chest up. Just allowing that deep stretch in the shoulders to happen. Continue to push the feet up and back. Continue to breathe. And lower down. Place your right cheek on the ground. Release your feet and your hands. We'll go through that one more time. Bend your knees. Reach for your feet or your ankles. And push your feet into your hands. Lift your chin and your chest up off the mat. Continue to push your feet into your hands. Continue to breathe. And lower down to the ground. Straighten out your legs. Hands come next to your chest. Inhale to upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Look to the top of your mat and walk your feet all the way up. Inhale, lift your arms up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Step your right foot back. Your back foot is going to be about a 45-degree angle. We're coming into pyramid pose here. So make sure both of your hips are facing forward and that you're not putting too much pressure on this back knee so it's twisting or anything. So find the stance if it's closer or farther apart, what works best for your body. So a couple of arm variations here as we go forward into the pyramid pose. You can grab opposite elbows and just really work on rolling the shoulders back and keeping the chest nice and open. If this is too much, you can just grab a towel and place between your hands just to work on keeping that chest open instead of hunching over as we fold over. And then the third option is just to do reverse prayer, just depending on your shoulder flexibility. Again, really working on opening up through the chest. So take your variation. Start to extend the chest forward, pulling the right hip forward and the left hip back, and come into your pyramid pose. Relax your head and your neck. And just pay attention if you feel like your shoulders are rounding. And just pull them back. Slowly begin to rise. Step your right foot forward and then the left foot back, coming to the other side. If your arms are behind your back and you're grabbing elbows, just switch the grip so that your hands are different on this side. So same thing as the other side. Start to extend the chest forward, push the hips back, but pull that left hip forward and the right hip back, keeping that chest lifted and open, relaxing your head and your neck. Remembering to be conscious of whether you feel like you're closing down because you're tired or you don't want to do any work in this posture, it's only for a couple breaths here. So really think about lifting the chest up and rolling those shoulders back, finding as much openness in this pose as you can. All about opening up the heart here and being aware of where we may find ourselves, where we're not being so open. Yoga is a really great practice for showing you how you're doing in different areas of your lives. And slowly lift the chest up. And step forward, coming into mountain pose. Bring the hands to face forward, feet about hip distance apart. And just take a moment here, close your eyes. And take a big inhale in. Exhale out. Inhale, lift your arms up to the sky. Right hand grabs your left wrist. You're gonna lift that left wrist up and over to your right. And you can hang out here in this nice side bend, or if you'd like something more intense, you can take that right foot, cross behind the left, and lift up and over to your right. And come back to center. Switch sides, left hand grabs that right wrist. Pull up and over to your left. Something a little bit more intense. Bring that left foot behind and reach up and back, or up and over. And come back to center. You're gonna step the left foot back, coming into a low lunge. And inhale, lift your arms up to the sky. Exhale, bring the arms into goal pose position. Really open up through the front of the chest, bring those shoulder blades together, and squeeze your left glute here. Inhale, lift your arms up, and exhale, lower the elbows down. One more time, inhale, lift up, and exhale, lower down. On your next inhale, we're gonna come up into warrior one, so bring the arms up, tuck those back toes under, bring the back foot at about 45-degree angle, making sure both of your hips are facing forward, and bend your right knee. From here, take the hands behind your lower back, clasp them together. If this is too much, you can always hold a towel between your hands. We're gonna go into humble warrior. So pull the shoulder blades close together, open up through the front of the chest, stay open here the entire time. All you're gonna do is take the right shoulder to the inside of the right knee and allow the hands to lift up and over your head, relaxing your head and your neck. Continue to breathe here. Slowly release the hands and lift up towards the sky. Open up into warrior two. So scooching that back foot back a little bit farther, creating a wider stance here. Really squeeze that left glute. Find that stability in your back foot and your front foot, and spread your arms apart, looking over that top hand, making sure your right knee is in line with your right ankle. And just relax the shoulders from the ears. Again, taking this moment to see where you may be feeling contraction in the upper body. Maybe it's shoulders are up. Maybe you're kind of rolling the shoulders forward. So just start to become aware of the body. The body has a lot of patterns, and our body tends to show us where we're holding our stress and where we can release it. So as we become more aware, we have an opportunity and a choice to release those things that don't serve us. So release them and we become more open, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. From here, straighten out your right leg. Turn your right toes to face forward. Take your hands behind your lower back, clasp them together. Bring the shoulder blades together, roll the shoulders back, and fold forward into a wide-legged forward fold. Just a few deep breaths here. If you'd like, you can bend your knees and push your hips from side to side if that feels good. Just keep your head relaxed the whole time and allow gravity to just allow to pull the hands down lower to get a deeper stretch. Release the hands down. Come into a low lunge. Place the left hand on the inside of your right foot. Twist open to your right into revolve low lunge. Pushing away from the ground. Take that right hand, turn the palm facing out, and reach that right hand all the way to the left hip. Roll that right shoulder back. Really lift the chin and the chest up towards the sky. And take the right hand down. Step back into your plank. Lower down, Chaturanga. One of our first and only Chaturangas for this class. Inhale to upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Look to the top of your mat. Jump or walk all the way up to the top. Inhale, lift the arms up. Little back bend here. And exhale, hands to heart center. Release the hands down. We'll just repeat that on the other side. Take your right foot, step back into a low lunge. Inhale, lift your arms up to the sky. Squeeze your right glute. And exhale, bring the elbows down, open up through the chest, bring the shoulder blades together. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, down. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, down. Next, inhale, come up into warrior one. Finding your stance here, pulling that left hip back and the right hip forward. And then take the hands to clasp behind your back, maybe using a towel if you need to, keeping your lower body exactly where it's at. Just drop that left shoulder to the inside of that left knee. Relax your head and your neck. Finding a couple of deep breaths here. Slowly release your hands. Make your way up into warrior two, windmilling those arms open, widening your stance here. I'll turn around so you guys aren't staring at my butt. So take a few moments here to find your stance. Maybe your left heel is in line with the arch of your back foot or your arch of your back foot or your heel. So find that balance for yourself. And just shift a little bit more of the weight back into that back foot. You want to find that equal balance for you where you feel really sturdy and strong here. Keep that left knee in line with your left ankle. Relax the shoulders. Maybe just bring the shoulder blades down the back a little bit here. And just find this soft stance here. Or just see like where you can soften in this pose. And just take your gaze over your left hand. Start to straighten out your left leg. Turn your left toes forward. Inhale, lift your arms up to the sky. And exhale, bring your hands together behind your back. Maybe place, like if your hand was clasped one way, bring the pinky over and switch on the other side. So you're creating equal stretches for your shoulders here. So inhale, reach the chest forward, start to push the hips back. And on an exhale, completely fold forward. And just allow your head and your neck to release. And taking a few moments here, you can stretch and push the hips from side to side if that feels good. And slowly release the hands down. Start to turn towards the top of your mat. The left foot at the top, come into your low lunge. Place the right hand on the inside of the left foot. Twist open to your left, staying light on that right hand. Really reach up towards the sky. And then exhale, turn that left palm out. Reach for that right hip. And turn the chest and the shoulder up towards the sky. And then release the left hand down to the ground. Step back into plank. Lower down, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a big inhale here. And exhale, lower your knees down to the mat. And start to come all the way onto your back. So we're just going to end with a bridge and a wheel pose to really open up through the front of the body and just see where we might be feeling a little bit stiff or a little bit tight. Back bends are like my least favorite thing to do, just because my body is super tight in my shoulders and just my core muscles. Maybe it's super easy for you and that's great. So just find what works for you. If you want to stay in bridge pose, it's more for beginners. If you have a little bit more flexibility in your chest and your shoulders, in the front of your body, then go for the full wheel. We're just going to do 2 total rounds of both of these. So lower down onto your back. Take your feet about hip distance apart. Your heels are going to be about a foot, foot and a half away from your hips. So I'll provide the first, or a couple of variations before we go into this. So you can hang out here with your arms by your sides and just push your hips up to the sky. This is version 1. Version 2, you can take your hands underneath your back, clasp your hands underneath your back, and then from here, start to open up through the chest and just shimmy the shoulders underneath you, bringing the shoulder blades close together, keeping your hips nice and high. This is version 2. If you'd like to go into full wheel for the first round, you can take your hands by your head and push up and back, being mindful to push the chest up and back to the wall behind you. So take your variation, be here for 3 deep breaths. And slowly lower down to the ground. And just take 2 deep breaths here before we go into the second round of our bridge or a wheel. And then go up, holding for 3 breaths wherever you're at. Finding those nice deep breaths, keeping those hips nice and high. And then slowly lower all the way down to the ground wherever you're at. Take a big inhale here. And exhale it out. One more time, inhale in. Exhale out. And just slightly tuck the tailbone under. Pull the belly button into the spine. And then hug your knees into your chest. Take your arms out to the side. Drop your knees over to your right. And your gaze over to your left. Come back to center. Drop your knees over to your left and take your gaze over to your right hand. And bring your knees back to center. Hug them into your chest and release your legs out. So we're coming into final Shavasana. This is where you can use your blocks or your pillows. So if you'd really like to end with a nice heart-opening pose, you can use your blocks, bringing one block to the bottom of your shoulder blades here. You can have it be on the shorter height or the taller height, and then you're going to use the second block or pillow just to rest your head on. We'll be here for about a minute or so. So find your position. Maybe you just want to lay on the ground with your arms out and your palms facing up. And that's cool too. If this bothers your lower back, you can always bend your knees and teepee them in together. So find your variation and be here for about a minute. wherever you are at. Slowly begin to make your way up into a seated position with your hands on your knees, but with your palms facing up. When we have our palms facing up, it's just a way to signify that we are opening ourselves up to receiving energy, and in a way opening up our hearts by allowing ourselves to receive. So just close your eyes for a moment here. Come back to your breath. And just take a moment to scan the body. Maybe you're feeling a little bit more open in the shoulders and the chest. Maybe you feel like your heart is opened up a little bit more, whether that means something physical or emotional for you. Our bodies are generally the first indicator that something is not completely aligned or something is off within ourselves mentally or emotionally. Our stress tends to manifest within the physical body. And so it's really amazing to find the stillness within ourselves and to find those parts in the physical body that may not feel aligned or may feel off. And that's why yoga is such a beautiful practice, because we're able to get a little bit more still and to hold these postures and to see where we have these kinks in our bodies that we just need to work out or stretch out or breathe through a little bit. So use yoga as a tool to navigate not just the physical body, but also the inner workings, the emotional aspect, the mental aspect. Take this time to be truly honest with yourself and to work through those blocks so that you can create more space within your body, within your mind, and ultimately within your heart, because love is just the end goal for everything. Take a big inhale in. Exhale out. Bring your hands to heart center. Thank you guys so much for joining me today on this heart opening flow. I hope you feel a little bit more open, feel a little bit more love flowing into your life. And yeah, thanks so much for joining me. If you guys like this video, remember to subscribe to my channel. I will keep posting more videos like this. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from all of you, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye guys. Hey everyone, and oh shit, I need to introduce myself first. Okay.